Maybe we should ask why we were speculating so much as a country on real estate.
It's just FOMO and psychology. Owning property is seen as a big milestone in your life that we think, oh, they bought their house first. Wow, they must be doing really well. We see it as
FOMO. Why is that not called achievement? Welcome to the Tom Storey Show with Steve Karrasch and Tom Storey, where we discuss everything real estate or whatever else is on our minds. 6:53 in the AM.
Just so people know when we record.
September 17. Well, hey, we had to get in early. And are we recording?
We are recording. Welcome back.
Never mind.
Welcome back to the Tom Storey Show, weekly real estate roundup podcast, coming to you today from Toronto and from Surrey with your hosts Tom Storey and Steve Karrasch, who doesn't have a black eye today but does have a mustache. Continues with the mustache trend. I think you can pull off a mustache. It's not creepy on you. I feel like I look creepy with a mustache. You can pull it off.
I've learned you just have to get it long enough, and then the creep goes away, and the dad factor, the Ned Flanders kicks in.
Welcome back to the show. The most important part of the show, Steven, is not me, not you, not your mustache. It is the people that come here and watch every single week. So we want to thank you. We also want to say that if you are one of the over 60% of people that show up every week and are not subscribed to the channel, we would appreciate it. If you don't subscribe, Steve will continue to grow the mustache, okay? If you want him to shave it off, you got to subscribe. We got a ton of topics to talk about this week. We're going to get right into it today. Steve, I feel like we haven't spoken in a while. The magic of podcasting means we can kind of go away, do some travel stuff, come back, and we'll get into the market stuff. But how are you doing? What's going on? Things good?
Things are good, yeah. Putting some deals together finally after the world's slowest summer of all time. Put together 2 condo deals this week, both of which are condo investors purchasing.
That is weird.
So, yeah. And I had another one fall apart that was condo investors. So, it seems to be a strangely active section of the market. And then just a ton, I'm sure every real estate agent you talk to right now is like, I got all these buyers. They're just tied to listings that won't sell first.
Yeah, I get all these buyers that need to sell a property first.
Yeah. As soon as they sell those properties, though, man, are they ever buying? I'm like,
are they ever ready to go? All right, let's jump into this week's podcast with topic number 1, which is a big one. It was a big announcement that actually happened last Saturday. Steve Carney held the press conference, and it's called Build Canada Homes. So they've rebranded this. Don't shake your head and start nodding until at least we start talking about it. So I did live news an hour after this came out. I did CTV. They asked me to come on, probably because everyone else was not answering their phone on Sunday. And I was like, okay, I'm happy to come on and talk about this. Like, what did they announce? So they sent me the news article, and I go onto the website, and it's like, okay, 4,000 affordable homes. And then there's a few things that weren't announced. Like, where are they? Where are these 6 locations going to be? When are they going to be built? Who's going to build them? Who gets access to them? And what size are they? So basically, I didn't have anything to talk about. And I feel like, so I went on the news, I did it live. I was like, listen, if we're going to build affordable housing in a place like Canada where rents are extremely high, this can only be a good thing if it is actually executed on. The idea is wonderful. We've heard it before. Are they actually going to do it? And I feel like I basically just gave the same answer 3 times because I was like, we don't even know what they're building, where they're building it. But let's go over what they did announce. What we do know, maybe more information has come out since, we're recording on a Wednesday this week. This comes out on a Sunday, so maybe more will come out. Here's what we do know. $13 billion of investment into this new program. So initially when you hear that, you might think to yourself, wait, Tom, didn't you just say that they were going to build 4,000 homes? Does it cost $13 billion to build 4,000 homes? Are you trying to do the math, Steve?
I got my calculator out. Keep going, Tom.
It is. I can tell. I already have the number, but you let me know when you get the number. I'll just say, like, that's going to be a headline that you see out there. That's not. This is just the first announcement. There's more coming. It's not $13 billion to build 4,000 homes, which would, if you do the math, be over $3 million per.
$3.25 million per home for government housing.
It's also going to be factory built housing. That is a term that was used. We're coming back to the days of what the government used to do. They used to get involved in actually trying to solve it, because the thing that we've continued to remind viewers and we've learned from this show is that building affordable housing is not profitable. And that is the reality for developers. And you're like, well, why do they only build new stuff? It's the only stuff that makes sense and pencils, and they got to build that nice stuff that's going to make sense for the pro formas unless they have a lot of incentives. Okay, so $13 billion, over $3 million each until they announce new homes.
$3.25 million each. I'm sorry to interrupt here, Tom, and also the land is free.
Well, let me get to that. And it's not going to be that much each. This is just the first announcement.
Correct.
Of
likely... It will
be
double.
Okay. Got me off guard with that one.
I know you're trying to do this new thing where you throw to me after for the opinion, so I will try my best to my Kiltony impression here and just be quiet for the full minute.
Here's the big one that I actually does think makes a difference, and this is, we've been talking about this for a long time. The idea is they're going to do this on federal land, so land that's already owned by the government, which means that you take away the acquisition cost if you're just looking at developers to do this for you. So there is no initial cost of land. So this should be theoretically a big thing. You might be asking yourself, well, where is this? Is this in downtown Toronto? Is it in Surrey beside Steve's house? I could only hope. That would make me really, really smile if they announce it right.
Zero in BC, house. By the way. Zero in BC.
Did they announce the areas?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have them?
No.
Because great. We were really prepared today. When I had pulled up this data, they didn't have the areas yet. But maybe as we go through this, you can look that up for me. And then seeing this and knowing that it's the government, we have to say to ourselves, if you put a shovel in a politician's hand, what's going to happen? Are they actually going to build, or how are they going to vet the builders and developers that they're going to be working with to put this together? Did you find the areas, Steve?
I did find the areas. Are you ready for
so
this?
What are the 6 locations that this is happening?
Toronto. You'll be happy. Toronto is one of them.
Does it say where in Toronto or just Toronto?
It says just Toronto.
That's helpful.
Well, this is this is the AI version of my Google search.
Great.
It says just, oh no, this is Prime Minister Carney's website. This is the PMO's office. Sorry. Toronto, Ottawa.
Okay.
Because the center of the earth. The beautiful city of Winnipeg, Edmonton, a place called Dartmouth, which I have no idea where that is.
It's Nova Scotia.
And Longueuil, Longueuil. I'm assuming Quebec.
Right.
So in those
no BC.
Major areas, no BC. None.
No BC.
No Calgary.
Okay. No Calgary. That's interesting. You know, I guess like it would have been interesting if it was only the Winnipegs and Edmontons of the world, but at least Toronto and Ottawa is in there as well, because those are the places that that people probably want this the most, I would guess. But here's the thing too. This is now relying on the government.
I apologize. The place I just said is like a suburb outside of Montreal. So it is Montreal.
Sure. Got it. Okay. And it looks like this is only going to be basically affordable rental housing. So the government is not building single family homes to sell to Canadians at a discount to bring down housing prices. This is for the people that need them the most. And when you hear the term factory built housing, I don't know what that means. I mean, I know what it means, but I don't know exactly what the product or the finishing, or are these little 1-bedroom apartments where we're just doing the same thing we were doing with the new construction condos, or are we building family style units for people that actually need them the most? So Steve, I'm going to bring this over to you. 4,000 homes that are affordable. We're all going to make our jokes that this will never happen, but if it does, this is a good thing, is it not?
Oh yeah, lots of people absolutely love the idea of living in government housing. It's going to be great. I'm sure they'll have crazy lineups of people just waiting to get in.
Can I just one more thing, and then I'll let you run with this before you go super cynical on me. But nobody else is building this. like developers can't afford to build affordable housing. No one else is building it. Government's kind of the people we've been pointing at, saying like, if you want this, you guys got to step up and do it.
We do need government to step in to build things that can't be built. Let me give you an example.
Okay.
The doubling of the Kinder Morgan pipeline out to BC, which was just finished, last year or whatever, year before. It could not get done. Even though there was already pipeline there, they're trying to lay another one right beside it. It could not get done because it was a private company doing it. So what happened? The government of Canada bought the pipeline for more than it was worth. Then they finished it for 2 to 3 times the expense of what it would have cost if it was done privately. And now they're looking at selling it. Now that it's making money, they're looking at getting it off the books at less than what it cost them to do it. So I assume that's something similar to what's going to happen here, right? They're going to try to build them. Let all my crazy conspiracy homies come out and just say, it's weird that they're announcing this is all going to be modular housing and Brookfield's invested in modular housing. That's really kind of strange, Mr. Carney. I just view it as like you say, if you do the simple math, I would assume it's going to, if they say it's 13 billion and they're actually going to get it done, it'll be 20 to 25 billion. No homes will be made and people will live in Soviet style Lego block housing. So I don't know. I'm not going to be super excited. Like you say, it's all rentals. It is all trying to house people, I guess, that need it the most. But that means also in the future, on top of that, my thought pattern would be not only is it going to cost this much to get it constructed, it's not going to be great living situations for everybody. It's also going to be the Canadian taxpayer subsidizing those rents for the future because there's no way they're going to sustain each other. So it's just, rather than, how about this? Find some developers. I know Ford didn't have much luck doing this, but find some developers, get them the land at no expense, let them start building it out, right? And then have a set, okay, cities, guess what? You're not making development fees on these. We're not making any money on land acquisition. The developer is going to develop. They're going to make a small profit, which
but is that not what that's what this is? They're bringing in developers to build this.
And then offer those for sale for end users.
Oh, for sale. Okay.
Right? Offer those for sale. Now, that doesn't fix your rental problem. I understand that. I don't think we have that big of a rental problem right now. I have rental news of my own to tell you about. It is not.
I've got some rental. I got some rental news too. You'd be surprised at the rental news I have, considering what we've been hearing about the rental market these days.
Well, let's talk about that here shortly. I don't know. I think it's another big announcement that won't do much. And if they do it, it's not going to help me in my area, and it's not going to help.
But it's not. This isn't for you.
I mean, me in my area being housing in. They've announced it in these small. Like, what is 4,000 homes going to do? A lot of people would just okay, well, instead of these 4,000 homes, how about you just don't spend the money, and how about maybe you just, we trim back the immigration target by 4 times that many people, and you won't really have that issue, right? So I don't know. It's another silly thing to me. It's a big announcement. We're great at big announcements in this country. We're not really good at following through. So I'm going to take the cynical end of it here, Tommy Storey. I'm saying Brookfield's getting paid, and we're paying them.
You know that saying that you hear a lot online, which is you will own nothing and be happy?
Okay. How about the happy part?
Well, here's my question. We'll move on from this. And sometimes on this podcast, I see in the comments, me and Steve are more alike than people think, but I do like to push back on him for the entertainment of the show. But is getting safe, because I think safe is the big thing, and we'll see if these become safe living spaces. I don't know. Safe, more affordable than what exists right now. Is that not better for the people that need it the most versus the alternative of being on the streets, shelters? I don't know.
Sure. Tell you what, here's one way you could make me happy.
Sure.
Build 3-bedroom homes and say only families. So you have to prove you're a family. Let's also prove that you're working. let's also prove that you're not a drug addict. And then these are the homes that we're going to provide to these people.
Realtors, it's time to up your game. Realty Ninja allows you to create a stunning lead capturing and hassle-free website that looks great and will match with your current brand. They are a sponsor of this show, and they're giving listeners 20% off your first year, and you don't pay $1 until you launch. Join the thousands of real estate agents across this country, including Steve, the cheapest person I know that uses their services. realtyninja.com/Tom. And now, back to the podcast.
But they're not going to do that. You're going to move into one of these places, and next door there's going to be some dude cooking on an open barbecue and I don't know what he's cooking either, right? So that's not this. I don't know. I get it out of the government's hands. I could say that just for everything we say from this point forward on the show. Just get it out of the government's hands.
Put that on a shirt. That'll be our first piece of merch on this show. Speaking about the government's hands, I didn't have this as a topic in here. I just want to briefly bring it up. The Canada Post, no flyers in this negotiation. So as a real estate agent, I've been sending flyers for 5 years. What's funny is we actually stopped this summer, and we were going to start our flyer campaign. And I'll tell you, like, it worked. As a business owner, it got me a lot of business. Like, I know people think, like, why'd you waste your money? Like, it worked. And Canada Post was, comparative to the States, an extremely cost-effective way of getting flyers to the area that you want to market to. Canada Post is now saying, we'll see if it changes before it comes out, but they're saying no more flyers.
No, Canada Post Union is saying no more flyers.
Canada Post Union, excuse me. I initially saw this and went like, oh, that's a little bit annoying for my business. But more than anything, I was like, okay, but how else is Canada Post making money? Wouldn't flyers be like a massive percentage of their profit? Which I didn't know this number, but you seem to know this. You have some insider knowledge. So give me your opinion on this.
Very versed in Canada Post. Extremely versed in Canada Post. So it's more than 30% of the revenue is flyers, but the union is in dispute. So the union's trying to make things not work. Unfortunately, they're losing something like $100 million a month right now. And then they also want to stop making any profits that they do. The union, sorry. The big problem, I don't know, we can go into this forever and ever and ever because it's a big deal, but the big problem is the union is fighting for 1979, and we're not living in 1979 anymore. So think about this. This is the big thing, and not even the corporations talking about it, but their big argument right now is, or their big problem right now is every mail delivery spot, I guess you would call it an address or a door or whatever, my house, your house, everyone needs visited every day. How much mail do you get now compared to 15 years ago, right?
Well, like, it would mostly be flyers.
It's mostly flyers, correct? But like you used to get your bills in the mail, you used to get everything, right? You send letters to grandma, whatever it was, there was way more. So it was a service that you needed back then, but we don't need that service as much anymore. So if the employees were smart, they would go, okay, well, guess what? Instead of one postie going to every house, how about we hit it every 2 days? But they can't do that because of the union, because that would take away jobs.
Right.
So do you know what the biggest issue Canada Post has right now is they pay 8 hours work every day for every employee, even if they only work 3 to 6 hours. So
based on a previous contract that was negotiated, I'm assuming.
Yeah, because they basically have walks, right? So there's somebody that goes out there and they measure how long does it take this person to walk around. They have one of those little sticks with the wheel on it, right? Sure. And somebody gets paid for that, whether they deliver or not, still now. So it's just a disaster. I could go on. That's the majority of it. The crappy part is the union is focusing on things like, you know what they asked for in their negotiations? They asked for technology protections. So they want to not advance. They want to not advance. They want to not sort mail faster with machinery. They want to not all these silly things. And then the corporation is stupid because the corporation's trying to break the union by hiring part-timers for the weekend rather than going, guess what, guys? Instead of Monday to Friday, some of you guys work weekends now. Some of you guys work, Wednesday through Sunday. And on top of all of that, You've got the union, who's stupid. You got the corporation, who's almost as stupid. And then you are all governed by the Canada Post Act, and nobody can change anything anyway because it's written into law. So it's screwed. It's archaic, and it's a very essential service. Canada Post is a very essential service. However, the fact that there are posties, like in my area, that have to wait for an hour and a half for a ferry to come across to get to 2 delivery spots on Barnston Island in North Surrey is an absolute stupid waste of money. So you guys deserve each other.
Tell you what, Millennial Moron, our pal, this should be his next hour-long deep dive on Canada Post, because he's done a great job on the pension side of things. All right, well, I mean...
It goes way deeper than that, but I want to give you an
Steve's knowledge goes deep on many topics. Look at this.
I'm very, very versed in Canada Post's dispute.
You know what I was thinking too is the back to work by government and the banks. I feel like a lot of it, and this, maybe I'm off on this, let me know what you think, is not so much that they care about the people coming back to work. It's that they don't need all the jobs anymore, and they're trying to get people to quit instead of fire them by forcing them back to work. I think that's got to be a huge reason why.
I think they have a ton of office space that's available, and it's like, go ahead and use it. And let's face it, work from home is not nearly as productive as work from the office. It's just not. Anybody tells me otherwise, I disagree.
I think it's at least 50. I think it's 50% they have the office space, 50% they don't need all the people anymore.
I'm having my team come in more often now. Right?
Why, you want them to quit?
No, they need.
Moving on.
How about go to work? How about go to work, guys? Everybody, work from home people. Great, but
perfect segue.
Go to work.
Perfect segue. With that down, let's move on to the jobs report that came out in August. I want to briefly touch on this, Steve, because we lost, I believe, 65,000 jobs in August, which is one of the reasons why Bank of Canada cut the rates, which we will get to at some point in this episode. Spoiler alert. If you haven't figured it out yet, if every realtor you know hasn't posted about it already in the last few days since the news came out. I normally when these reports come out, I kind of look at them and then I move on with my day. This one I actually thought, like, okay, when the June numbers came out from the jobs report, it was surprising. It was like, oh, we added like a ton of jobs. I forget the exact number. And I was like, oh, that's a little bit weird. How'd that happen? And now the August numbers come out. We've lost 65,000 jobs. So I did what everybody does now, and I went to ChatGPT and I said, okay, tell me about the jobs report that came out. How many jobs were lost? Specifically, now break it down into how many of those jobs were full-time versus part-time. 59,000 of the 65,000 were part-time jobs. Mm-hmm. Am I way off by just saying that was summer jobs that started in June and why the numbers came up and ended in August?
When they have job creation, though, if you do the same thing, you'll be shocked to find out most of the jobs being created in Canada now are also part-time jobs.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like...
Yeah. No, but like all of the time.
All of the time.
There's a lot of companies that will only hire now part-time.
Got it.
They don't want the headache of, training someone, giving them all of the benefits of a full-time and doing all of these things if they don't know they're going to work out. So most companies now, like I know they've been doing this forever. Back when I was like 21, applying to try and become a driver for like Coke and Pepsi, with the distribution places here in Delta. Everybody wanted those jobs back then, but they would only hire. They started on call, then they went to part-time.
Right.
Then once they actually got good guys, they were like, okay, they offered them a full-time job. Right. So I think you end up with a lot of part-time creation. I don't think there's a lot of full-time jobs being created right now.
So do you think it's people that already had a full-time job that lost their part-time job, or people that had 3 part-time jobs that lost one of their part-time jobs?
Great question.
Right.
Who do you think was getting all of those jobs over
another good question.
Many years?
Well,
right?
I mean, I think we know the answer, but
they have to be all new to Canada people.
Yeah, they have to be. You would think.
I don't know that many people changing jobs on a regular basis.
Because the youth unemployment rate was extremely high. And you see the clip from Ford the other day talking about the youth not having access to jobs or not being able to find jobs. And he basically said, look harder.
Yeah.
Didn't go over so well.
I was on board with that theory up until within the last 2 years. And now I'm starting to.
Sorry, go on.
I see. So I'm of the age where a lot of my friends, family and stuff are starting to have teenage kids that are starting to look for work. And
are they willing to do those jobs? Are they willing to work at McDonald's? Are they willing to?
They're absolutely willing. Here's the problem, or here's, if you have a low skilled worker who you can hire that will work any shift at all.
Right.
Versus the teenage girl that can only work 4 till 8 or 6 till 10 every night.
Right.
And then weekends and can't work midnight and can't work middle of the day. You're going to hire the person who's available all the time. Mm-hmm. And I believe if you go to Tim Hortons and McDonald's and Wendy's, you're going to see exactly what I mean by that, right? You're going to find the people that are available at all hours. And those are the people that have been given the jobs. Because it makes scheduling easier. It makes all those things easier, right? Unfortunately, a lot of those vacancies have now been filled by people that are new to Canada, and that's causing a lot of hatred, which I don't like. But I think that's the reality of what's gone on, and that's why you're starting to see things like, the protests in the UK and that sort of thing. So I think we're in a situation where there are a lot of jobs that would be done by young people learning to try and get skills. Mm-hmm. And now they're not being filled by those people anymore. So there is less opportunity. I don't think and let's face it, there's also less job creation in a time where the economy is just not that great, right?
Our productivity in Canada is not great at all. If the younger kids aren't learning, I guess maybe they're just learning the new skills. Maybe they're getting really good at coding and understanding AI, and that's going to be maybe they don't need to. Yeah, maybe they don't need to know these skills. I mean, we don't know yet. We'll find out. But
where would you, if you were talking to your kids right now? Obviously, when your kids get jobs, it's going to be many years away. But
that's a good question.
If you're asking your kids or guiding your kids towards a career, what careers would you pick right now? Because I mean, computer coding is not one you should be looking into.
Yeah, that can be
I would have said totally differently 3 years ago, because in 2021, when the market was going crazy, I was having computer coding, people reaching out nonstop. They were making tons of money. They were at Facebook. They were at Amazon. They were just buying all the properties. And now I don't think that's a thing.
I'm not going to know the answer of what would make the most amount of sense when my kids get to that age. But if your kids were 18 were that age now, I'd have to think about that. I don't know.
I don't know. The answer right now that I can see is healthcare of any type. Because I think we will always have a shortage of healthcare, and then trades. And I think trades even more so need to be looked at by women, because just for the simple fact that I know there are tons of programs here in BC where if you're a woman, you can get schooling. You can apply for all paid for schooling, right? And why would you not take advantage of that?
For trades.
Yeah, for trades.
Got it.
Yeah, because there's not a lot of ladies that want to go, knee deep in sewage to go learn to be a plumber, right? So, but those programs are out there. I met a lady that was that did that once. This is probably 7 years ago, though, a long time ago. And she was like, I found a program where they taught me to be a plumber. She's like, I'm a plumber now. She was a 28-year-old girl or lady. And she's like, I'm the only woman on my job site. She's like, they paid me and I couldn't be hired fast enough because all of these companies needed a woman on whatever right. Programs they have, right? And she's like, this was a no-brainer for me. I'm sure it's crappy work. I sure wouldn't want to be a plumber.
Crappy work, nicely done.
Literally crappy work. But anyway, I view those, obviously trades is not there yet until Optimus comes out, and then trades are all screwed too. And then, healthcare is the only one I can think of right now that's totally safe.
You gotta be the best at the fastest growing sport in North America, pickleball. That's going to be where the big money is in the future, Steve.
Buying a home is a big deal, so don't let your home inspection cause you more stress. For over 45 years, Carson Dunlop has helped buyers across Canada understand the homes that they are buying with detailed, calm, clear, client-first inspections. Carson Dunlop inspectors don't just point out problems, they explain what really matters in a way that will protect you in your home purchase. If you want confidence in your home inspection, top agents and home buyers trust Carson Dunlop. So to check out where they service and to book your inspection, go to carsondunlop.com right now.
All right. With that down, let's move on to what the Bank of Canada did earlier this week. As everyone expected, and 90% of the betting odds were looking at, Bank of Canada came down, and now the overnight rate is at 2.5%. Now, a 0.25% decrease in the overnight rate, for those that are not following this very closely, maybe you're newer to listening or watching this podcast today, only impacts variable rate mortgages. It also means that for every $100,000 you borrow, theoretically, depending on the type of variable that you have, or if you're taking a new one, that will change your monthly mortgage payments by $13. On the surface level, this should not change anything, but this will be very big news. This will make the rounds today. As we mentioned before, kind of joking, every single real estate agent and their dog's Instagram is going to post about the fact that rates came down. I went to a kickoff event at my company yesterday, and it was amazing, by the way. They did a phenomenal job, but the big talk was like, let's answer our prayers and cut the rates. I'm like, guys, anyways, maybe I'm in the minority on this one. We're still in the neutral rate zone. We'd have to go under 2.25 for things to start stimulating the economy again. If the job numbers continue to come out to be not that great, potentially they continue to cut. It looks like now, Steve, they are saying that they could continue to cut. And do you remember going back, I don't know if it was a year ago, it must have been almost a year ago, we were looking at those projections. And there was a few banks that said by the end of, was it 25 or 26? They said we'd be at...
Notes. It's still there. I left it there.
Still at the very bottom of the note? Is it there?
Very bottom of your notes. Yeah.
What does it say?
This is why I left it there. At the very bottom. Go all the way down.
Did anyone say 2%? No, he said 2%. 2.25. 2.25 is what people thought. CIBC thought it'd be at 2.25 by Q4 2025. So if they do decrease the rates once more, it could happen. Royal Bank thought it would get to 2%. RBC thought it would get to 2% by the end of Q4 2025. So I guess both are possible. TD had it at 2.25. National Bank 2.25. BMO was the only one that thought they'd, at the end of 2025, they'd be at 2.50. So it looks like so far, the banks knew what they were talking about because they're all pretty close. But what actually matters? What should the Canadian buyer right now that's watching the market thinking about getting in? Steve, what should they be watching? The Bank of Canada overnight rate, or maybe they should get over to that bond yield and see what's going on there? Because, hey, fixed rates look like it could be dropping a little bit because the 5-year bond yield is dipping.
Have you seen it?
I saw this morning it was like 2.6 something.
So back when I renewed my mortgage, obviously I hit a great spot. Not to brag there, Tom Storey.
Yeah.
But the bond yield, 5-year government bond yield, peaked at 3.13% on July 15th. And everybody thought it was going to go up and up and up. It's actually dropped since then. We're currently at 2.71 as of yesterday. Okay. Might even be lower than that today.
Yeah.
So, you're seeing basically half a point come off of bond yields, which means fixed money should be coming down, ideally. Here's a question for you. Given what's going on right now, I have in 6-8 months, something like that, 6 months, my investment property mortgage coming up. What does Tom Storey do?
It was funny. I actually ran this poll on my channel last week, and it was almost a perfect 50-50 vote on if you had to renew or get a new mortgage today, would you go fixed or variable? It was almost very 50-50. I know what you're going to do regardless, so it doesn't really matter what I say. Really? Oh my God.
You don't know what I'm going to do. You don't know me, bro.
I would...
you don't even know me.
I'd have to look at the spread on like what's the fixed and variable at that moment in time. But yeah, I don't think Bank of Canada is going to increase rates anytime soon. And there's a much higher
hold the rates low for very long.
Yeah, I've heard this one before.
Wait, yeah.
I think the chance of them decreasing 2 more times are way higher than the chance of them going up. So yeah, this is me, and trust me, I've been wrong before, but I've been right for a long time leading up to it. That's just me trying to make excuses. I would go variable.
If I had to make the decision today, I would definitely lean towards variable, but not because of the rate. I would, after you own real estate for 5 years, which is where I will be, you never know at what point there's going to be an opportunity to sell and maybe move your money, right? So the plan is to own this thing for another 15 years, but I'm also considering what the penalty would be if I sold. So I'm trying to factor in the penalty as well. So I'm very much considering variable. In the event I want to pull the money out and say, for instance, put that into a principal residence, which would then be tax-free when I sold in the future.
I think
maybe until it's not tax-free.
We would mostly think in 95% of circumstances that the breaking a mortgage with a variable would be cheaper than breaking the fixed rate. You'd think, because it's 3 months interest, but it depends on when you took that variable, how much your interest is every month. I bet in some circumstances it's not that much different than breaking the fixed rate. It might be pretty close for a lot of people, actually. So, I mean, I wouldn't take it. I mean, in your situation, I get it. If you want to move this thing at some point, that just makes it a little bit easier. Yeah.
I'm considering it, though. It would be my... Well,
When's this happening? When's
my mortgage up? February, I think.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think between now and February that the Canadian economy is going to get better?
Currently, I do not feel that way.
You think jobs numbers are going to improve?
Currently, I do not think they will improve.
You think we'll have a trade deal?
Not a fucking chance. Wait, don't we have the best deal? We've already got the best deal. We have the best deal out of anybody.
Do you think housing prices will go up or down between now and February?
Oh, I would. So far, I see nothing causing them to go up. That's for sure. I'm actually seeing some house prices that I'm like,
I know,
man. There's like this is the actually part of the big consideration though. Like if I plan to move up, the amount of money that I could take out of that if I wanted to move over would be very tempting and would make my life a lot easier on the other side. However, as money goes cheaper, which I think it will, and as the government debt is going to be mind-blowingly nuclear,
it's going to be
over
a big
the
one.
top. I am of the mindset that you should probably borrow more money and own more assets because they're going to inflate. Not saying in the next 2 months, time the market, people. I'm just saying over the next 10 to 15 to 20 years, the amount of inflation we're going to see in asset prices is probably going to be insane.
So take a variable then. If you believe all those things to be true, at least for the next 3 years, then Bank of Canada is not going to go up in rates.
Because I think it would actually be a smarter move. Like, say, for instance, I wanted the few $100,000 out of my investment property to move to a newer, better, nicer principal residence.
Yeah.
I actually think if you take my payments and income and all that wonderful stuff and put it against each other, there's probably in the next run up would be a better time to sell the condo.
The math will always tell you that it makes more sense usually to not lump sum on your mortgage, to keep your other property and not sell it and not bring it into your primary residence. The math will usually tell you that. But being debt free, I would assume there's no math involved.
But the devaluation of the dollar, like, why would I devalue my own dollar when
I hear you? Trust me. No, I hear you, right? I like owning assets. I still have a few, right? I got rid of my condos, but I still own some real estate, more than just my house. And I'm not selling it anytime soon. I'm holding this long term, right? I am still leveraged in certain aspects of my life. Not crazy. I can afford it and it's totally fine. But I could sell one property right now and probably just pay off my house and be debt free on my house. But I'm not. So there we go. I guess it answers the question.
You're too young for that. You are
not young anymore. You know what? Steve, can I tell you?
Dad, you're tracking your sleep with your Whoop strap now. like whatever you're doing.
I had an 85% sleep score last night. Shout out Whoop, future sponsor of the show.
You've got early onset conservatism coming your way.
You know, I got introduced to someone the other day at an event. And I was like being introduced as like, hey, this is Tom. Like, you know, he's our younger agent that does really well, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And the guy's like, hey, nice to meet you. How old are you? And honestly, Steve, I forgot. I'm like, I'm 34. I was like, you know, I was 22. I don't know what happened. I completely blanked on my age. I feel like I'm just blocking it out now because I thought I was young. I'm not young. Are you kidding? If I'm a professional athlete, I'm not getting more than a 3-year contract at this point. I'm washed up. If I'm a soccer player, I'm basically retired.
I'm a general manager.
Okay, moving on. I spent some time putting together what I think, in my opinion, was one of the best videos I've ever made, because we continue. You thought so?
No, I'm just saying if you think it's a good video, it's got no views. That's how mine
No, it's doing all right. It's like it's over 10,000.
Oh, okay.
Because the income versus housing prices, more than maybe like condo fees suck or some of the other things that will come up in the comments a little bit, seems to be the number one thing. Like, wake me up when housing prices is 4 times income, or, which by the way, like, just getting a mortgage approval gives you more than that. So that's not going to happen. But
enjoy your nap.
But you see this a lot, and I get it. I get the frustration, because if you look purely just based on the line in your market, what housing prices have done versus what average incomes have done, minimum wage has actually gone up a lot if you do the math on that versus housing prices, but the average income, it's not even close. Like, it's just hasn't happened. So I decided, like, okay, well, let's figure out why. What are the actual reasons? Not like, let's get mad at this and bang our fists and complain. Let's take a look at what actually happened here. How did this happen? So I put together 10 reasons why Canadian real estate is so expensive versus income growth. And a lot of this has really happened, I would say, over the last 20 years. I mean, really the last 10 years, if you look at what housing prices have done. So I'm going to say it. Let me know if you agree, if you disagree, and if you have some thoughts on it. Number 1, the cost of borrowing money. Low interest rates have supercharged affordability. From about 2008 financial crisis in the States to the beginning of 2022, we had interest rates for that most of that period of time, not all, but most of that period of time, were lower than 3% on the fixed rate. We got down to a certain point in time where you could get a 5-year fixed at like 1.5%. If you allow money to be cheap, people will borrow it and they will pay the max amount they can borrow to get what they want. You give that to a lot of people at once. You add in all these other factors, boom, housing prices go up. Is that a fair one, Steve?
Yeah, that's inflation. That's how it works. Yeah. That's it, right? Here's why.
I think that's the biggest factor. I think that's the number one factor. The access to capital here in Canada and how cheap it was for how long it was cheap. Mm-hmm. And then everyone got obsessed with real estate as well. And then it all happened. I think that's the number one factor. Number 2 is that the lending policies associated with the mortgage rate, they shaped the ceiling. So it wasn't a target, it was a ceiling, and people were going up to the ceiling with what they could afford. And then you look at, okay, when markets slowed down and people are complaining that first-time home buyers can't get in anymore because the prices have gone up so high, instead of building more of those houses, what we are doing is saying, don't worry, your mortgage payment at a 25-year AM would have been $2,400 a month, but we're going to bring it down for you. We're going to give you a 30-year amortization, and now it's $2,100 a month. So you save $300 a month. Mm-hmm. You might spend $200,000 more in interest over those 5 years.
Yeah.
but we're extending it out. And I mean, probably the best way to put it is kicking the can down the line.
They probably never should have moved off of minimum 10% down payment at 25-year AMs. That probably would have been the best way to stay, right? As soon as you pushed out, remember when after I bought
10% used to be the minimum?
When I bought my place, it was 10%. I think it was 2005. It was 10% at 25 years. And then like the year after was like 06. And that's when they went zero down. Crazy. 40 years. And then that was the first big run up, right? And then I knew everybody that was buying homes that had no business buying homes.
Yeah.
Right. And that was the worst that Canada got, was 40 years, zero down. The States was way worse. Like the States they would go on no proof of income. They would give you 125% of the value of the home. Right. And then they'd give you a low rate for 2 years. And then after that 2 years, you would kick over into the higher rate. Like that was just a disaster.
Number 3 is supply shortages, but specifically the wrong type of supply, right? So like we can now look and go like, well, we have enough supply, right? But if you actually look at it, we bid on a house last night with clients. There was 4 offers on it. It's a supply that they and a lot of other people in my network want. And there was 3 other people that also wanted it. That one of them was paying a higher price. So it's not just supply, but supply people want to buy. And when you remove the investor demand from the market, which used to be a ton of the demand side of the market, and you're trading in a mostly end user market, other than Steve doing his few investment condo deals, you look at the supply that exists that the end user wants, and there's just not enough of it. That has not really changed for the major markets for a long, long period of time. Ask yourself where you're listening to this show from today. What have they been building? Maybe if you're listening from Calgary, they can just kind of build new neighborhoods because they have the land and they do it and they keep pushing out. Maybe you're listening from Edmonton, but if you're in Vancouver, if you're in Toronto, you know the answer. It's high-rise condos that became smaller and smaller, and now we're building purpose-built rentals, which will serve a purpose, but they're not available for purchase. Is that fair to say, Steve? Any thoughts on that one?
Nope.
Okay. Good. Next up is population growth outpaced housing growth in terms of building. I don't even know if there's anything more to say on that. I think we can all kind of agree that population growth got out of control for Canada.
Let's factor in the biggest problem was going from 260,000 new permanent residents per year to 1.3 million per year for 3 years.
Yep.
Like that's the biggest problem we've had in this country, period. And we're not the only country that's had that same problem.
Next up is timelines, zoning and red tape for municipalities. Even what we've seen recently here in Toronto, we were trying to follow what you guys did, Steve, with the multiplexes, and it was supposed to be the entire city, and then it only ended up being a certain amount of areas in the city because people were fighting against it, and the timelines and the delays and the red tape. We've gone over this. I don't need to rehash all this, but we know this. Number 6, speculation and investment activity. Now, when you hear speculation, typically what we think is like, oh yeah, those foreign buyers, right? They're buying up our market.
Yeah.
I just want to remind everybody, and by the way, I'm involved in this. Steve, you're involved in this. You bought an investment condo. You know where most of the speculation on Canadian real estate came from? Canadians. It was us. It was me. It was Steve. It was you. Like, if you own any investment property, you didn't just buy it for fun, right? You bought it just to like help a tenant to subsidize their rent. Is that what you bought it for?
I mean, it seems to be the case these
Yeah,
days.
but that might be the case, but not why you bought it. Canadians bought real estate because they thought it would continuously go up in value. That is the definition of speculation, right? Mm-hmm. It's not just the foreign buyers, which are no longer involved in the market today. Did they play a part? Of course they did. But Canadians speculated as much as anybody else. We all jumped on that train together, and that's what put us in this position.
Maybe we should ask why we were speculating so much as a country on real estate. Why do you think we were? I have my answer.
Hey folks, if you're looking for a real estate agent in the city of Toronto, let's face it, you gotta call my buddy Tom Storey of the Storey team and Royal LePage Signature in Toronto, Ontario. They're your obvious choice because Tom is not just the co-host of this podcast. No, he is a real life and top producing real estate agent in the city of Toronto. There's nobody out there that knows the condo market better than Tom and his team in downtown, but they do service the entire city of Toronto and any of your residential real estate needs. So if you're looking for an agent, do not hesitate to reach out to Tom, book a call with him using the link down below in the description of this podcast, and let Tom guide you through your real estate journey. And now back to the podcast.
Well, you look at your friends that bought 2 condos and made $500,000 in 3 years, and you thought, well, I'm working my job. Oh, you want me to say that we're greedy?
No, it's not. That's not the right answer.
Wealth building. Why? Because it seemed easy.
I think it's legitimately because it was one of the only options actually accessible to most people in order to try and get ahead.
Yep.
Because all of the other options, like working more, working harder, starting your own business, they're not easy, and they also don't have any reward. Right? So if you made it easier to start your own business, if you made it so if you worked harder and more, you didn't get taxed through the freaking, think about how stupid that is. You work overtime and your tax rates go up.
Yeah.
Here, thanks for producing a little extra for our country, for your company, for the taxation and all that wonderful stuff. How about we also not only tax you 50%, we're going to increase it to 52%. Thanks, guys. So that's, I think, the reality of what our country has become is if you have no real ability to try and get ahead, you're going to take whatever you can to try and get ahead. And that turned into real estate. So it was something that, you know what, you didn't have to necessarily put in extra hours, not see your kids, do all this sort of stuff. Your immediate tax, let's face it, a lot of people weren't necessarily claiming their taxes right either, which is if the CRA wanted to go after people, that's where they should go after people, was collecting GST on flips, collecting all this sort of stuff, right? I just think it was a symptom of of over taxation or taking out the incentives for your people or your citizens to do other things.
I guess how many options were left that you could look at and go, this is a way to get ahead?
Yeah, viable options.
Yeah.
That were actually realistic for the average person trying to do something, right? And working harder and working more just to not see your family and pay more in taxes is probably not what people chose. They went, you know what? I saved up my $60,000. I'm going to put it down here as a 10% payment on this condo. Hopefully it turns into something in the future.
Yeah.
And then everybody did it.
Yeah. And the people that did it 3-4 years ago, I had a call again yesterday with the losses between 3 units that we talked about were like $700,000 combined. If they got rid of them today. I didn't help them buy them, but it is what it is. Okay, few more here. Real estate is tax favored. Specifically, I know this isn't investment real estate, but your primary residence is tax-free growth. And whether we like it or we don't like it, that has been one of the ways that Canadians, especially the boomers right now, have built the most amount of their wealth and retirement. Agree, disagree, that is a fact. And it is tax favored to own it. You know, of course you got your TFSA, but it maxes out at a certain amount you can put in there all the time. Okay. Number 8, because all these other things happened and then people got a little bit older and had kids and the kids couldn't afford to get in, well, where were they getting some of their down payment from? Bank of Steve and his wife. Right? Because you're obviously going to give your kids a chunk of money, right? That's how you do things. Are you frozen?
No, I'm not frozen.
Bank of mom and dad, it's not market manipulation, but if you just were looking at income versus housing prices and how does this happen? Well, Bank of mom and dad is a real reason why. And then final 2 to wrap it up, Canada is seen. You know, we live in Canada and we have our opinions about what we like, what we don't like. It's seen as a pretty safe place for the rest of the world. and not only a safe place to live, but a safe place to bring your money. What are you trying to show me there?
The Steve GPT has just come up with his own list here.
Okay, all right.
And GPT, that's a new version. It's the super. If you want, oh sorry, are you still going? I was going to say if you want something super negative and creative immediately, just ask Steve GPT. Okay, go ahead.
Steve GPT. Final one is just FOMO, and psychology. Owning property is seen as a big milestone in your life. That we think, oh, they bought their house first. Wow, they must be doing really well, right? We see it as
FOMO. Why is that not called achievement?
Okay, but because we put a level of acknowledgement on it to say, oh wow, that person already bought a house, or look at the house they own. Keeping up with the Joneses idea of like, oh well, I don't have that yet, so I'm not as successful as them. You don't know where they got their money from, or if they got it from family, or being born into a certain family is a big factor for most of the things we're talking about here. But the fact that we look at owning real estate as an achievement means that people will continuously want it, right? I know we need a roof over our head as well, but you could rent, right? So those are my 10. What does a Steve GPT have to say?
Okay, most of these tie in.
Okay.
So you said bank of mom and dad. I actually think the Chinese one-child policy actually has a lot to do with bank of mom and dad now too. So you had a couple generations anyway, of Chinese immigrants who came here, and then you think of traditionally, if you're having many kids, your assets that you acquire are going to be spread out to them.
Right.
Well, after multiple generations, they funnel down from the Chinese policy. So I think you had a lot of high net worth people coming in. Then you also have the addition of a lot more multi-generational households. So again, same thing, different part of the world. You have people coming in here that now have 3 or 4 generations, 3 generations anyway, in a single house. And then they start, they have the ability to pay for more for the houses. Right. So that's definitely kind of bank of mom and dad line. You said sixplexes and not opening up to them, only having them in certain areas. That's just NIMBYism.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
We had a version of NIMBYism that was unhealthy in this country for a long time. Yeah. Now I think our government's actually overcompensated for that and gone too far. I don't think we should have extreme density anywhere. I also don't think we should have complete NIMBYism anywhere. As in most things, in the middle is probably the smart place to be. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Another one you didn't mention, green belts.
We tried.
I don't think green belts are a bad thing, because we obviously need food to grow, and we don't have that much actual fertile land for certain things in this country. So green belts definitely got in the way of a lot. I know, like, for instance, where I am in Surrey, there's a lot of Surrey that's agricultural land reserve that you can't use.
Right.
Now, that's a good reason for that, because a lot of it sinks, but don't worry about that. Lack of cities in Canada. And then the one we talked about, overtaxation. So if you don't have incentives to do anything else, you're going to do the thing where the incentive is. So if you lowered taxes, I think you would actually end up with higher incomes, more productivity, and lower real estate prices.
If we look at the person buying their first property in 1950, when the average home price was, I don't know, 3-4 times income, whatever it was at that period of time, is that the same house they're buying today? Is that
house size is legit too? Yeah.
Are house sizes not bigger today? I guess you could argue like condos came in and they impact the average price and they're smaller, so maybe it equals it out. But is the house they were buying then for that type times income the same house they're getting today? I'm not 100% sure. I don't think so.
The average detached house where I am now is 3,500 square feet as opposed to 1,000. Like I used to live in a little 1957 rancher, and it was 1,000 square feet total, 3 bedrooms, 1 bath. Yeah. Now we have that as the basement rental in the 4,000 or 5,000 square foot house.
Also, the working adults per household. This is a StatsCan I could only find a stat for people with children. I don't know why it's the only one I could find, but I just thought it'd be interesting to bring up, is that the share of households like with children with 2 employed parents doubled from 36% in 1976 to 69% by 2015. So then you add a second income, and you could say it's like a chicken or the egg thing. It's like, well, did they get the second income because they had to, because housing became more expensive? Or did the second income add to all the other factors that we had that made housing more expensive, because then that ceiling becomes higher on your pre-approval?
And think about the addition of things like basement apartments.
Right.
That was never a thing before. So I struggle with this. So if you have a basement apartment, is housing more affordable because you have more housing for people in the same amount of space? Or is housing less affordable because now the person can afford to pay more for the house because they have extra income coming in? I really don't know. We need someone much smarter than these two morons to figure that out.
Really good
question. But like, I think about what would rents be in my area if, I'm going to say in the city of Surrey, at least 50% of the homes have a 1 basement rental. At least 50%. So if that's the case, if all of those were eliminated, then
rent would probably be higher for
rent would be through the roof on condos and those sort of things, or we just wouldn't have those people, right? I think there should be a greater push for sprawl or cities. I think there should be a greater push to push stuff out. And then I definitely think we should get away from, I know obviously where you are, you're affected by condos, like high rises, but I think like the suburban cities should be doing a lot more to have a lot more livable 4-story wood frame condos that can be constructed relatively quickly. 2 parking for each one.
All right.
1,000 square feet or more for a 3-bedroom. Somewhere you could actually raise a family. Right? Somewhere where you could actually, okay, the kids can play in their room and I can watch TV and we can actually still live our lives. Right?
I wanted to share one final thing before we wrap this up today. And I'll get to it very quickly just because we were talking about leasing. The rentals.ca data continues to show us that lease prices are dropping on a year-over-year basis in most markets across Canada. There's like one place left where they're going up. But I couldn't believe these numbers when I saw it, because Urbanation, Sean Hildebrand, who's been on the show before, the best at data on the high-rise market in Toronto, on-market, off-market data. There was over 30,000 condo leases signed in Q2 of 2025. It was 14% higher than last year, 58% above the 10-year average, and more than 10% annual growth. So we continue to hear that rental prices are going down, which they are based on the peak of rent. But what seems to be happening is and I'd have to do these numbers more specific, if you add up total rental transactions, which we track a little bit in Toronto, I don't know if you guys track them at all because none of it really happens on the system. So it's hard to track. And then you add the sale transactions, the total transaction count and need for housing is probably not that different than other times. You'd still have to remove the investor transactions. It's just more people are leasing condos than ever before. And I actually got some inside info on like one of the biggest real estate.
Hang on. Let me.
Yeah.
So, because I have actually a note here about the CBC report that they were talking about inflation going up, which it did, I guess, yesterday. That inflation report came out. Inflation's going up. And what the CBC cited for that was inflation went down because the carbon tax was removed.
Sure.
Right. Which they're touting as an amazing thing right now. The consumer carbon tax being removed. Clean fuel tax enter, carbon tax leave, but that's another discussion. But they're saying that one of the biggest causes for inflation is actually rents going up. And I'm like, well, the rents are not going up. But now that you say it that way, rents are not necessarily going up year over year if you were the tenant that was going to rent last year.
Correct.
But if I'm moving to a new place, from my tenancy that was 3 years old, 7 years old, 10 years old, my rent is increasing substantially.
Yeah, like rents are lower than 2023 and 2024. They're still higher than 2020, 2021, and probably certain points of 2022.
Yeah. So I just had a tenant that moved out of one of my listings. And she didn't need to. She was just like, it's for sale. I don't want the uncertainty, so I'm leaving.
Right.
She elected for a 30% increase for stability. She didn't have to go anywhere because we asked her, like, oh, where are you going? Oh, I found this place. I'm like, oh, really? Is it cheaper? She's like, no, it's this much more. And I was like, get out my calculator because I'm a moron. And I was like, that's a 30% increase that you're electing. She's electing for it for stability. New 1-year lease, right?
Yep.
And then flip over to month after that, that sort of thing. So in that respect, yeah, rents are coming down, but the renters are paying more.
Yeah. And the numbers I gave you from Urban Nation, that was GTHA, so Greater Toronto and Hamilton area, just so you know where those numbers are coming from. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I hope you had a wonderful... What's that? We're done. Oh,
all right.
I mean, I got lots more to talk about, but I think we should probably save it so we don't go like 2 hours this week. And make sure to get subscribed. Make sure to like this video. Make sure to send Steve a personal email letting him know exactly what you think about him. And
do that. And got some good episodes coming up here.
We have some absolute bangers coming up. So get subscribed. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for listening. We honestly really, really do appreciate it. And we'll talk to you next week. Bye.